Hi guys, this is Peyton with Video Game Hour Live, and I'm here with Tony Redmer. He's the environment artist and art director of Chasm, an upcoming PC game, and soon to be UT student. So, you ready to come to school here, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited to experience this school and see what it's like to be at a big university.
Nice, nice. So, how'd you get first started doing pixel artwork?
Well, I started in fourth grade. I was into this type of painting where basically like it was just you put little dots on the canvas and to make forms, and so eventually like that evolved into me like just playing around with Microsoft Paint, and then eventually like I just kept playing with Microsoft Paint and it became pixel art, I guess.
Nice. So, art director is kind of an impressive credit. How'd you get involved in Chasm?
Well, I put my resume up on a couple pixel art websites, and the main developer, James Petruzzi, he contacted me, sent me an email, and was like, "Hey, we're looking for pixel artists." And at first, I was the only artist on the team, and so just I inherited the position. Basically, is what happened.
Awesome. So describe like what like your workspace might look like. Like, do you still use Paint, or do you have other software you use? Do you have like one of those pad things, those digital pads?
I actually stick with the mouse, and so I have it's a very special mouse to me. I've used it forever, and I actually can't pixel without it. But it's a Logitech mouse, and then I use Adobe Photoshop CS2 specifically because CS3 and the older or newer versions are a little more complicated than they need to be for pixel art. And yeah, that's basically my setup.
Cool. So how'd you go about determining like the overall style of the game?
Well, we really wanted to go for something that's nostalgic but not repetitive. And like if you look at a lot of indie games right now, you'll notice that a lot of them use pixel art and a lot of them use really, really retro looking pixel art. But the thing is, that's really repetitive, and we noticed when we first started releasing screenshots with that style, we got a lot of negative feedback, people calling it unoriginal. And then we set out to prove that, we're making an independent game and we chose pixel art, but we can make pixel art look modern. And so we've been playing around with the style for a long time, and it's only until a couple months ago that we completely set it in stone. But the main thing that our style has developed into is this like higher 32-bit, like using way more colors and not restricting ourselves to any of the functions that we can use.
Cool. Do you like did you draw inspiration from anything like in particular? Because I know the overall design of the game is very very Metroid-like. Did you just in strictly the art style? Did you were you inspired by anything in particular?
Yeah, there's a couple games that Chasm is completely inspired by. Castlevania Symphony Night is one of them. Metroid is, of course, one of them, too. And there's some other things that we pulled inspiration from in some of like the animations and all sorts of other little things. But a lot of the animations are inspired by the Castlevania Symphony Night character and also Mega Man. And the art's inspiration comes from a couple modern games, one of them being Forgato and the other is Contra 4.
Nice, nice. How much freedom and control do you have, like, over the design and layout of a room? Is it more like a gameplay designer, like, designs the room and then you just, like, you put the art over it, or do you have a say in how a room is laid out?
Well, because the game is procedurally generated, the way we've handled it is we've decided to individually map rooms, and so those are all handmade. And then from there, each room is placed randomly, but it's not completely random. It's done in a way that is intelligent. We don't put rooms together that should not be together. But yeah, each room is individually hand mapped, and then there's a couple of special rooms like your fountains and your other like your healing place, and then you have your shrine, which is you can sacrifice things, and then you have your the extra like power boosting that you can get. But yeah, there's specialty rooms, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have like basically a set for the map so that it's like you have this huge area where this part of the map is procedurally generated, and then the next part is a setup that's more completely gameplay related, and it's like they're like set pieces for storyline too.
Okay, cool. So what was it? I don't know how much involvement you had in this part of the process, but what was it like putting the game through Kickstarter and then I guess later Greenlight?
Well, Kickstarter was a lot of fun. When we started, right before it, we had gone to GDC in San Francisco, and we mainly went there to try to find like a publisher deal or something. And then we realized that we really didn't want to lose our creative rights on the game, and we wanted to make sure that we could make this game into exactly what we wanted it to be. So we went to Kickstarter for money, and the campaign was a lot of work. And it was incredible that we succeeded, and I think a lot of that came from all of the press that we got. I mean, we got featured on a lot of awesome websites like Kotaku and Rock Paper Shotgun, and yeah.
Did you actually go to GDC? Like, did you personally go? What was that like?
I mean, it was insane. Like we had to stand there for like 8 hours a day pitching the game nonstop. And so we kind of had made our own pitches, and we had like a 5 second pitch, like a 1 minute pitch, and like basically a 5 minute pitch. And so you had to judge the character of the people to determine which one of them to give to them. And it was a lot of fun. We met a lot of awesome people. The fans were really awesome there, and it was a great experience.
Give me the 1 minute pitch.
Okay. Hello. Welcome. This is Chasm. It's a Metroidvania. It's inspired by Castlevania and Metroid, of course. The game is procedurally generated. It's a 2D action RPG role-playing game. And excuse me, I'm a little rusty on the pitch, but yeah, usually at this point they'll ask you a question, and that question will help you determine, okay, are they more interested in programming or are they more interested in art? So if they ask me something related to art, like who's working on the team or where'd you get the style from, then the rest of the speech goes from there. But if they ask me on programming, then I'll give them a shorter one saying, yeah, the game is developed in X and A, and it's being ported through Monogame to other platforms. It's coded in C#, and then I'll refer them to the programmer.
Okay, cool. And then, so I know you guys are out on, or coming out on PC through Steam and then Mac and Linux. Are you in talks of maybe bringing this to a console at all? I know PS4 is getting up all in those indies.
Well, unfortunately, I can't exactly tell you our situation right now. But it is looking bright for us to be on consoles. That's as much as I'll say. But
Cool. I guess lastly, since this is a university, what advice would you give to someone looking to get into pixel art or just art for games in general?
well, I definitely say that the most important thing is always to practice a lot. I mean, before I got jobs, it took me 3 years, and I was practicing every single day for like 3 to 4 hours. And eventually, when you get to the point where you think you're ready to go professional, the most important thing is creating your own style. Because if you don't create your own style, then basically all you're doing is copying the next artist, and then you won't be able to pull the big jobs. And the best way to get your name out there is to be unique. And so if you can develop your own personal style, and if you can network really well, because that's extremely important, especially in such a small world. Yeah. And I think the most important thing, aside from networking, is definitely just like getting around and meeting the other artists, because there aren't very many of us out there, you know. So it's good to know that's like everyone, and then, you know, like if somebody else gets a job that they can't take, then they'll maybe forward that email to you and you'll get the job. You never know.
Cool. Well, thank you much for your time. And yeah, Chasm comes out when? Do we know?
Yeah, we're shooting for a May 2014 release, and